Local paper, they had an article about the economic decline of middle and lower class adjusted for inflation. From the middle on down, they've lost money over the last 10 years, and all the increase was in the upper levels. What do we do about that?
Can you guys hear me? Or do you want me to use that?
I don't.
We hear you.
You can hear me? Okay, I'd rather just let it go. John asked the billion-dollar question here, which is, he said there was a report in the local newspaper here that showed that the middle class was earning less in real dollars than they were a long time ago, and that the economy, isn't working well for everybody. And this is the fundamental issue that America should be focused on. It's one of the fundamental reasons Donald Trump won election the last time, because people looked at this wreckage and said, we've had Democrats, we've had Republicans, nobody solved this problem, so we might as well send a reality TV star to Washington because we can't do any worse. Now we know we can do a lot worse. But the economic issues are still profound. They are profound. I mean, for the last 40 years, we've had basically no economic mobility for 9 out of 10 Americans. We have the largest income inequality today that we've had since 1928. The top 126,000 families, which is about the top 0.1% of Americans, control as much wealth as the bottom 90% of Americans. When Bernie says all that stuff, he and I have a lot of disagreements about a lot of things. This is a place where we are in 100% agreement. The question is, what do we do about it? And by the way, let me add one other little factor into this for you to consider. Since I was a school superintendent, you look at all that inequality that I just described. Our education system in this country today is reinforcing that income inequality. It is not liberating people from it, because the best predictor of the quality of your education is your parents' income. Because that's the predictor of where you live. Not always been true. There was a time in American history when education was the wind at our back, and I think it should be again. But you know how you're not going to get there with a Democrat? If you took a focus group and asked, what is the Democratic Party for on education? You know what the answer would be in America today? Free college. I'm telling you, I'm for doing what we can on the debt stuff, but free preschool is a hell of a lot more important than free college. And we're not for that as Democrats, because preschool kids don't vote. When we wrote the Green New Deal, we included all kinds of things about a job that paid well, and health care, and paid vacation. Guess what we left out? A quality education for kids living in this country. And ask yourself why they're ignored by Democrats. So I got a little bit off topic, but I think that this is why I have been focused. And by the way, in addition to free preschool, the other thing I'd say is, for the 70% of kids that are ignored by Democrats running for office who are not going to college, there is absolutely no reason they should be graduating from high school unable to earn a living wage in this country and have to earn only the minimum wage. We could change that, and that would transform our economy. But it's not enough. There's more we can do. And the bills that I proposed with Sherrod Brown in the Senate to dramatically increase the child tax credit, dramatically increase the earned income tax credit, would make a massive difference. You add on to that paid family leave and lifting the minimum wage to $15, and all of a sudden you got an economy that's working for people again. A child tax credit, which would cost 3% of what Medicare for All costs, would reduce childhood poverty in America by almost 40%. It would end $2 a day poverty in this country. And I think that's what we should be running on as Democrats, because it addresses the main issue. And even if you don't care about anything that I just said, and by the way, I'd add investing in our infrastructure, investing in R&D, investing in the country, the way our parents and grandparents invested in us. We cut it by 35% since Reagan was president. We can make a huge difference. And some of you are saying we don't have the money to do it. I'm going to come there. But let me just leave you with another thought in case I get hit by a bus. Since 2001, we have cut taxes in this country. Actually, here's the right way to say it. Since 2001, we have borrowed $5 trillion from the Chinese, for the privilege of giving rich people tax cuts in America. We shame on us. We have borrowed $5.6 trillion from the Chinese for the privilege of fighting 20 years worth of wars in the Middle East. That's what we've done. We could have taken that money and answered John's question. We could have fixed every road and bridge in America. We could have given preschool to every kid in America that needs it, which, by the way, is every kid in America. We could have given every teacher a 50% raise if we wanted to. We could have made Social Security solvent for my children's generation. We could have paid down some of our deficit and our debt. We did none of that. That's how out of whack all of this is. So, thank you. So if you hear Elizabeth say, this is not a time for small ideas, I totally agree with that. But here's a big idea. Let's stop freaking doing what we've been doing and do the opposite of that so we actually can answer John's question. And I think it's a huge idea for us to reduce childhood poverty in this country by 40%, especially if we can do it without adding one additional bureaucrat to the federal government, which is what my proposal is with Sherrod. I'm looking for a non-male question. Is there a non-male questioner? Yes.